Cam, why don't you like weight holes?
I love weight holes, man. Like I think I have a weight hole in like every one of my balls. I need all the help I can get.
So you're not a fan of the new rule?
I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm not the only one affected by it, so like, it is what it is.
Yeah, everybody's affected by it.
The question is like the PBA gonna follow that rule?
Do they have to?
I thought the PBA was its own governing body. They could do what they want.
Huh. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, so that's what I'm kind of interested to see. Like, am I gonna have to have 2 sets of bowling balls, like one per tour, or?
I hope PBA doesn't do it just because of that.
Yeah. Like I said, it doesn't just affect me, so I don't know. Like, I mean,
well, a lot of guys use weight holes. EJ Tackett used weight holes.
Yeah.
He has a weight hole in every single one of his bowling balls. So, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell how it's going to affect things. It's definitely going to affect things differently, man, because now you're going to start paying attention to the side weight in it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to start drilling balls with that in mind. Like, oh, I like 2 ounces of side weight, or I like 2.5 ounces of side weight, or I like all 3, or I like 1, or something like that. You're actually going to be thinking of those things.
Yeah.
Where I think a lot.
You also have to learn what 2.5 ounces of side weight does to your bowling ball.
Yeah.
It's like now we can't have, obviously you can't have 2.5 ounces of side. So you'll have to first figure out what it even does. What's the difference between that and, your normal 1 ounce now?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, like, we don't really have time to like figure that out. Like, we're gonna have to like all of a sudden we're just gonna be like, okay, no more weight holes. So we're gonna have to like drill all new stuff, like, or people are gonna have to plug. I guess we could plug weight holes, right? So that's okay, but I don't know. Like, it's I don't know. That's all I can say. That's all I can.
The last podcast, his cat was back there with the Perrier. Is that the same Perrier or can?
No, it's a new one. This actually has stuff in it this time. The last one was empty.
The cat was back there by the airplane, and it was walking around and just knocked over the Perrier, and I watched the whole thing. Yeah, the whale things is crazy, man. Crazy. There's a lot of like little conspiracies out there where people are thinking that like the people in pro shops wanted that to happen so they can make revenue off the plug and all this stuff.
People in pro shops don't want it to happen.
It's like crazy, all the things that are being talked about.
Yeah,
that makes extra work for them. I don't think pro shops are going to want that to happen.
Yeah, I don't either.
Well, the thing is, it makes the customer base unhappy. So it's like,
yeah, and I mean, there's like Jeff Riggles had a Facebook post a while back asking if it was a conflict of interest if a competitive bowler who makes a living in bowling is on the committee that made that decision.
I don't know.
So there's people who bowl for a living that are on the USBC board. I don't know if they were on the exact committee who allowed for this to pass, but they could have been. So is there a conflict of interest in that? And also, is there a conflict of interest if a person who owns and runs a pro shop had a say in this?
Well, what was the core reason for this? Like, they wanted to make the sport harder, or what was the reason behind this?
I think originally the plan was to lower the diff in the bowling ball so they didn't flare as much. And the less flare, the less fresh surface saw the lanes, so the less the lanes were impacted by breaking them down. And so I believe they probably thought that to be extreme, or maybe something down the road. So instead, they just eliminated weight holes so people can't put fat weight holes in the side of them and increase the diff. Because that's what was happening a lot, was people were using weight holes to get them to roll early, and now the more of the ball seeing the lane. And so if you hit it with 500, a fresh part of the bowling ball is seeing the pattern all the way down. So it's just destroying the pattern. So I think their idea, this is all speculation, I have no idea really, but I think their idea is the less flare, the better.
To make it harder?
to make the patterns transition less, to make like people throwing
Oh.
500 up 5,
Because essentially
and
the
destroying the
weight
pattern.
holes kind of outgrew what they were initially used for. I mean, they were initially used to take static weight out of the old urethane, and I don't know about rubber.
Yeah.
And you know, when they were first taking these weight holes out, I'm sure they didn't know what a P1, P2, P3, P4 weight hole is, or and they didn't really understand the exact dynamics. Well, then I feel like the weight holes really evolved, and people are like, oh man, if I drill it 3 inches deep or 3.5 inches deep, or this bit with this depth and this, and put it here and here, it completely changes the reaction of the bowling ball.
Well, probably when they used to use weight holes, the flare of these urethane balls went from like this to this. And so now the reactive balls, the flare is already this, and now it's going to like this.
Yeah. Okay.
And so maybe they're just, I don't know. I have no idea.
There we go again. I don't know.
But that's what I think.
Well, I use weight holes to not completely change my reaction, but to give it a little extra, I guess. And I guess that's the extra flare right there. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So if one-handers use weight holes to get their ball into a roll earlier, what would you say the two-handers have an advantage at getting their ball to roll earlier?
If they know how to, but I don't think it's any advantage.
Not an advantage. Do they do it more efficiently?
Well, two-handers, like two-hander no thumbers, they don't put their thumb in it, so they can manipulate their hand like a lot more better. I don't know,
Right.
easier. Like they have tremendous touch because they don't have a thumb, so they don't grab it, right? So
Right.
they can kind of move it around. It's just whether or not they're good at it, doing it consistently or not.
Right. So yeah. So if we use weight holes to try and get the ball into a roll early because we have a hard time doing it with our hand, then potentially it might help them out a little bit, or it could be vice versa. Who knows?
Like there's other ways to get the ball into roll earlier, and that's surface or changing the hand position.
Mm-hmm.
They know 500.
Yeah.
They know 500.